Hey everybody, it's Maggie Mulhern from Modern Salon. I am here with Jeanne Beker, the Jeanne Beker, who is based here in Toronto. We're at Global Zoom 2018, and this must be a real trip for you because you're all about fashion and coolness, and we are in the mecca of it.
Yeah, exactly. And in the mecca of the cool city, Toronto, which is, my hometown, grew up here, have seen it go through all kinds of changes. And we're on the heels of the Toronto International Film Festival, which of course is the most glamorama event on the planet, or certainly one of. So it's wonderful that Goldwill decided to bring their big
For you.
do here. Yeah, for me, exactly. I enticed John Maroney. I said, you get over here. You get your butt here. What's so great about it for me today, walking around and watching some of the wonderful stylists under pressure, beating the clock for that competition, so reminiscent of what I saw for so many years backstage at some of those amazing fashion extravaganzas, like Galliano designing for Dior, obviously the shows that Alexander McQueen used to do, where it was all about theatricality and unbridled creative expression and commercial restraints. It didn't matter, like all that commercial viability and all, that stuff just went out the window. It was all about letting fantasies fly, and that's what I was seeing go down here today, and it just really heartwarming.
Well, the beautiful thing here is that even though this is really hair and beauty, we are doing it from head to toe. And this, you must appreciate this. I mean, looking at beauty from top to bottom.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is about a holistic kind of expression. They're all synonymous to me. And the people who are the artists who are, putting that stuff out there are all, really on the same wavelength. Whether they're a hairstylist, a makeup artist, a designer. And to see it all come together this way, yeah, wonderful. You can't have one without the other, or one thing doesn't look right unless you've got it all happening.
So I know you've worked with a lot of fashion designers and a lot of beauty experts, and I just think it's so important to look historically at people who have really are kings of their craft. Who do you think the audience should look at or learn from in both the beauty and fashion worlds?
Oh, I mean, that's a big question because there are a lot of different approaches going on and a lot of different attitudes going on. So I can't really single out, any great artists. Some of the greatest artists of our time might be working at your neighborhood salon, or at your local makeup counter. I mean, you never know. I think we owe it to ourselves now to open up our minds and our hearts and our attitudes as much as possible and learn from as many different sources as possible. There's so much information available to us today.
And we've all learned from you.
And I was lucky enough to be at the right place at the right time, to have been able to open that window onto that glamorous world that people hadn't been able to look through before. So I know a lot of people growing up, wherever our show was on like 130 different countries, but like even in the States, for example, people growing up in Nebraska or some small town and in the Midwest or wherever they were, got a chance to see all this incredible stuff unfolding and got to see a world that at that point they had maybe only fantasized about, and they got to see like, hey, yeah, maybe there's a place for me in that world, and not necessarily as a designer, but as a makeup artist, as a hairstylist, as a model, as a photographer, as a journalist. So I know we turned a lot of people onto fashion in that way, and even today walking around, I met someone from Germany that grew up watching me in some little Hamburg somewhere, and incredible the impact that one show had, where now the information is so ubiquitous. I mean, maybe a little too ubiquitous because you don't even know which direction to turn to. But to answer your question, where do you draw inspiration from? I think you just have to really have your antenna out there, and you've got to try and plug into as many different resources as you can, because you never know what's going to speak to you as an individual. It's not about, for a long time, it was about people following a certain kind of tribe, let's say, or a certain kind of group. Fashion was really meant for a few people who were doing a certain thing a certain way. But now fashion's for everybody. It's just totally, the floodgates have totally opened up. There's no right way or wrong way of doing anything. I even think trends have kind of gone out the window too, because we're all so individual. You've got to look at what speaks to you as an individual, and you will find it out there if you look long and hard enough, for sure. But people have to be honest with themselves and know themselves first and foremost. I think that's of paramount importance. So,
Well, clearly trending for us are bangs.
but they've been trending for me since the 50s, baby. I grew up with bangs. There was a period, actually, I got a makeover once by the late, great Kevin O'Quan, makeup artist extraordinaire, who was a very dear friend. One night, late at night, he said, I'm going to do a makeover on you. And he said, you got to take those bangs away. And he brushed the bangs off my face. I was like, mon Dieu, like I felt so exposed. But then after he did my makeup, well, he made me look so incredible. I thought, okay, you know, I'm going to go with this for a while. And I did go with it for, a couple of years. You can see some old publicity shots of me without the bangs. But after a while, I don't know, I just sort of got back to my comfort zone, and I thought, no, you know what? It's me, Jeannie, that little girl from, the 50s, that, the teenager from the 60s that always, wore my little bangs. So they feel good. They're me. To thine own self be true. And so I'm back with my bangs. I mean, I never say never, though. I may brush them back one day.
Well, they work on you. I hope they work on me.
Oh, they definitely work on you, honey.
All right, so last question. How can we follow you now? What's going on in your life?
Well, don't follow me. Blaze your own trails. No, I'm kidding. I often say that, but I know what you mean. Follow me in terms of what am I doing. Well, I'm doing a very interesting project that has to be under wraps, and I can't talk about it. But everyone's going to lap it up when they finally hear about it. And I'm off to the UK next week to. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be great. As you can imagine, too, the Fashion Television Archives, we have 27 years worth of the most amazing material that is owned by Bell Media, a wonderful entertainment group. So something may be happening with that, but you just have to stay tuned. On another front, I host a show here in Canada called Style Matters, which is a series where we talk about fashion and style and sell clothes, because it's with TSC, which is our shopping channel. And that's great fun. You can see that on tsc.ca. I write for a variety of publications, and I do a lot of speaking across Canada, and I don't get down to the States as much anymore for that kind of thing, but I'm out there.
Well, you're a tough interview.
I know, I never shut up. I used to be a mime artist. Can you believe that? So now I'm like making up for lost time. I spent years in Paris as a mime artist, me and Marcel Marceau, and now it's like, la, 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 la.
Oh, well, it's so great. Thank you for giving us
Well,
this
you've
time.
inspired me.
We've had so
What
much
can I
fun
tell ya?
here.
Great
Thank you,
to
and
meet
enjoy
you,
the show
Maggie.
tonight. It's
Oh,
great.
I will.
Okay, thanks.